Use this gratitude amplifier. In this episode, I'm going to answer the question many people ask: how do I get my kids to be grateful? So put on your seatbelt. I'm going to show you one of my favorite tools that I call the gratitude amplifier. I'm Doug Andrew, and I'm very passionate about helping people implement some very powerful concepts and thinking tools to apply true principles in life. I think one of the things that many people forget these days is to have an attitude of gratitude. In our family and in our company, we at least weekly, if not daily, write down 3 or 4 things that we are grateful for, and it's very powerful. It keeps you in the proper perspective so that you don't feel entitled. I wrote a book called Entitlement Abolition, and I talk about it in this book. So this is the form that I love to use, and we use it all the time, especially during November because of Thanksgiving, when we express gratitude. So I'm going to go through this tool step by step and give you an idea of why it's one of our favorite exercises, especially during the holidays and the Thanksgiving dinner that we gather for as a family. And I'm going to go through it on the screen here, and if you can't see everything, I'm going to do a sample way that I do this with young teenagers. These are troubled teenagers. I'm on a board for teenage suicide prevention, and now I have them think about what's going right in their life instead of what's going wrong and what they can be grateful for, because it's very simple things that they are grateful for that most of us take for granted. So let me tell you a quick story. For 5 years, I have mentored troubled youth at a youth detention center, and also at a boys' home and a girls' home and a crisis residential center where teenagers have attempted to take their life several times. I'm on a board for teenage suicide prevention. And so I would have them learn lessons of etiquette, how to eat properly, because many of them have never eaten out at a restaurant before. And so at Thanksgiving time, we got permission to take them off campus because they're sort of in not a total lockdown facility, but they rarely get out. And so we take them, some of them bring their parents, the counselors come, and we would eat at a restaurant. Many times we chose an Olive Garden. And we would reserve a private room, and I would have 15 or 20 of these troubled youth, and some of them had parents and their advisors there. And so we would exercise the etiquette that we had taught them. And some of them were like, wow, I've never eaten out at a Burger King before. It was just like a new experience. But this was the highlight of every time we did this. I would pass out this sheet of paper, the gratitude amplifier, and I would say, I want you to take a few minutes and fill out 10 things you were grateful for on this form. I want you to think of a living person that you're grateful for, a person who has died that you're grateful for, a physical ability that you're grateful for, a material possession, something in nature, a place on earth, modern day invention you're grateful for, a particular food, your home or place of abode, and God, the universe, or some higher power that you're grateful for. Once I gave them 10 categories, they started writing like crazy. Their parents, the advisor, like, whoa, how did you get this out of them so fast? So what they did is they started filling out over here those 10 things they're grateful for. I had them write down what is it you're grateful for in those 10 categories? Then I said, I want you to amplify this. I want you to not only look at what you're grateful for, but over here across from it, why? Why are you grateful for that? And then how are you going to show gratitude between now and the end of Thanksgiving weekend, or now and the end of the year? How are you going to show gratitude for this thing or person you're grateful for? They started writing like crazy. It was only 10, 12 minutes, and all of them had this filled out. And then I would tell them to circle the top 3. So for example, they might write down my mother, my grandfather, skiing cross country. Remember, this is from that list. A digital camera. I'm grateful for a digital camera. Plants and flowers in nature. Botanical garden. The microchip, a modern day invention. Korean cuisine was their favorite food. Our cabin retreat is a place of abode, and God the Father and Jesus his Son. This young man was Christian. So those are what? Over here, why? Well, the life lessons my mother taught me. My grandfather, patience, teaching that. And over here, what am I going to do for my mother? I'm going to take her to lunch and offer gratitude. I'm going to send a gratitude letter to my grandpa. Cross-country skiing. I love the outdoors. I'm going to teach and take a friend and show them how to cross-country ski. Over here, digital camera. Well, it takes many images. That's why. But how am I going to do it? I'm going to organize my digital photo files. Over here, plants and flowers. Beauty is incredible. And I'm going to plant more flowers every year. Botanical garden, it's a peaceful resort. How am I going to show gratitude? I'm going to donate time and money to the botanical gardens. The microchip, I love it because it doubles in speed every 18 months and the cost is cut in half. It's been doing that ever since the microchip was invented, and that's called Moore's Law, Gordon Moore. How are they going to show gratitude? Well, they're going to take higher res photos because they like their digital camera, let's say. Korean cuisine. I love bulgogi. That is the barbecue meat that they make in Korea, and I am going to learn how to make it. So that's how they're going to show gratitude. Our cabin retreat. We build memories at the cabin, and I love Grandpa's camp. I'm going to hold a Grandpa's camp at our cabin retreat. This is what we do every year. And down here, I have faith in God the Father and Christ and peace, and I will pray daily and receive their health is a way to show how you're grateful. Whenever I have done this exercise and they fill it out in less than 15 minutes, I say, circle the 3 that you would like to share with the rest of the group. And let me tell you what always happens. So when we do this with these troubled youth at the Olive Garden, the waiters and waitresses, they go, what's going on in there? They come in to deliver, maybe the hot fudge sundaes or whatever, and you could hear a pin drop. They know something serious is going on because when all of a sudden you start sharing from the top 3 things that you're grateful for with a group, it's amazing. See, I don't give them the choice of who would like to share. I just go, well, let's just go around the circle. I'll start, and I tell them 3 of mine and why and how. And then they know this is a serious conversation. You would be blown away. I saw parents, their buttons almost busted off their blouse or their shirt. That's my son saying this? That's my daughter? And they started to cry because they heard the simple things their son or daughter they were grateful for that they had never articulated before. I've done this with Boy Scouts. I've done this with all kinds of groups. At Thanksgiving, now with 28 of us, we have 6 children and 17 grandkids. I can't do it before dinner. It'd take forever. We actually fill this out during Thanksgiving dinner, and afterwards, while we're waiting for things to settle, before we have pie, we go around and all 28 in our family share the top 3 things that they're grateful for, why, and how they're going to show gratitude. It is probably one of the greatest paydays that my wife Sherry and I have with our family every single year when we do this Gratitude Amplifier. You can go to EA Book. What's the EA Book? That's Entitlement Abolition. And if you go to eabooktools.com, you'll have the opportunity to get a free copy of this book sent to you. You just pay $5.95 shipping and handling. In this book, I explain these tools, but you'll be able to download like 5 of the 20 favorite tools that I have developed free. And if you want access to the others, you can do that. But this is about you and empowering you for a better, brighter future by giving those that you care about the ability to think through and be grateful for those things that sometimes we just don't take time to think about and offer appreciation.